We're clear. It's raining. It's a really, really sloppy runway too. Oh. We don't come here very often. I don't want to forget the mail. All right, let's get going. All right, over 14%. We'll introduce our fuel. Energy's coming up as normal. ITT's coming up a little quicker just because we shut down about 15 minutes ago, but it should still probably be 6:50 or so. 7:01. There we go. Generator on, prop on full forward. Let's get that off. Alternator on, and aux bus. As you can see, it is horrible weather out there. Yeah, kind of just clouds touching all the mountains around here. I don't normally take off this way, but today I'm taking off this way because it's the only way. Because it's raining heavy and clouds down there. All right, we had 610 pounds of fuel. So let's go ahead and put that in here. We got 610, I'm empty, so 52.98. So I'm a little off here. Let's figure out where I'm off. Okay, here we go. It's because of my seats. We had those two out. Now it's 52.40, 52.40. We're matching there. So if we come down here, we've got 53 and 62. 62 knots for landing, 53 for rotate. Yeah, the rain is coming down pretty good out there. So my escape plan is to take off, take an immediate left-hand turn out of here. I had passengers that wanted to head back with me. They're not going to happen today because with passengers I have to remain VFR, I have to remain clear of the clouds. I don't know if I'm going to be able to today. Stations Wabo 1284 November Tango Kilo, back taxiing for Goroka. Yeah, you guys can see, it is a sloppy runway today. Orsby 65908 November Tango Kilo taxi.
November Tango Kilo, go ahead.
November Tango Kilo taxi, Wabo Goroka, 1 POB.
November Tango Kilo, copy taxi. And no reported traffic.
November 10 Kilo. Well, you guys can see ahead of me, there's nothing. Like I can see past the trees and that is it. We just came in up the river. It's clear up the river. So that's my plan of action to get out of here. Once I'm around this first corner, I can just go on an IMC climb if need be because the terrain is 1,000 feet. And I will have that no time at all. Come on. You know you want to turn around. Come on, it is so slippery out. There we go. All right. Controls are good. Our terrain awareness is turned off for the time being. We've got our VREF, we've got our rotate speed, our flaps are set, our trims are being set. Flaps are set at 20 indicated and verified at 20. Yeah, when I came out here, they said, yep, sun's poking through, it looks like it's getting better. So when I showed up, I was like, what? This is not at all what you guys said. That's PNG for you. Ignition, inlet, and lights are done. Sea level 24 degrees, so 1640. Here we are, we're the blue dot down there. We're going to work our way up the river for now. Get out of here. That is good. All right, ignition condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses. Immediate left-hand turn out. We're going to leave our 20 degrees all the way though for today. 53 knots. The map on the big screen so I can see where the river is. 1640. And we're going. All right, torque is set. Let's get out of the water though. There's 40, we're continuing. There's 50. Air torque just back a little bit. All right, let's get out of here. All right, ITT 720. Guys are getting drenched down there on the river. And let's bring our torque on back just a tiny bit, just to keep our speed nice and slow today as we just work our way up the river. Call up for departure here in a minute. No sense of doing it right this minute when my workflow is a little bit higher up. Yeah, see, it's still blue out there. It's just crummy right here. All right, well, let's go ahead and add our power back up to 720. Go 10 degrees of flaps. No more right rudder pressure though. We'll go 0 degrees of flaps. You know what I mean? It's beautiful out here. It's just right there. So really, this is the only way that I could take off today. All right, like we said, we wanted to go up to 6,500 feet, see if we can do the full flight at 6,500 feet or less. And I know a way that we can go that will get us just that, as long as there's not too many clouds. So let's go ahead and flip our landing light, our bypass. Actually, we're just going to leave our inlet into bypass. We'll do our igniters turned off just because it's sprinkles right now. And orders be 65908, November Tango Kilo departure.
Tango Kilo, go ahead.
November Tango Kilo departed time 38, tracking 014, correction, we'll be tracking up to 10 miles left of 014. On climb, not above 7,000, estimating Garoka 08.
Tango Kilo, not about 7,000, knowing for traffic. Maintain frequency, stand by for transfer.
Wilco, November 10 Kilo. All right, we want AYMF, so let's just put that into our flight plan so that we have a better visual on where exactly we're heading to. It's the Mayamafu airstrip, but we're going to go through the Mayamafu gap if it works today. If you guys are enjoying this 360, this is completely new for me. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to see more of this stuff, or if you like the more traditional type of videos I make, or if this is the first time you've seen a video of mine. Well, I've got a lot more videos flying around Papua New Guinea, so be sure to check them out. Consider subscribing if it's the kind of content that interests you. So there's a mountain range. You can see all this green here and this brown right here. If I put on my terrain, you can see we got a bunch of red over there. That's the higher mountain range. And then you have this little light kind of spattering of yellow. That's a mountain range over here that goes up to around 4,000, which is, I mean, we're passing 4,500 right now. So we're going to clear that in just a minute. And that's the way I came in. I came in exactly through here and then wiggled my way down the river right here. Just like I came in. So my expectation is it's going to be cloudy out there, but it's going to be workable where we can wiggle our way through the clouds. Let's go ahead and bring our prop back. See what I mean? Even when my workload gets up, yes it does, I forget to do little things like pull the prop back. We're leaving it at 2,000 RPM. The reality is like, for me, it's just like, let's just do the most critical things when they're time critical. And that is stay safe in the rain with mountains around you, things like that. Okay, well, it looks like 6,000 might not work. Let's just continue on here. We'll stay at 6,000 just for the sake of this. We'll go about another half a mile around this last cloud and then see if we can work up. I know that there's a pretty low valley over here, and these mountains right here actually kind of drop off down here. So my expectation is these clouds are basically just following the mountain, and they're going to drop off as well, and I'll be able to wiggle my way around it. Like I've said in other videos, I do not recommend doing this if you're not familiar with your area that you're flying. It's not a good idea to go out there and go scud running, especially in areas that you don't know what the weather does, you don't know what the terrain's doing, things like that. Now, you still can get yourself into a lot of trouble. Not saying that. But I always do have an out. I always have a couple at least 2 escape routes that I can do. I've worked through in my head, okay, what's my minimum safe altitude that I need to get over the terrain? If for some reason I got myself into an inadvertent IMC, basically I was not expecting to go into a cloud, and I got myself pinched in too much to where I basically had to go into a cloud unless I run into something. I'm always thinking in my head, man, what's my next plan of action to stay safe in this type of ever-changing environment, especially when it's cloudy like this and there's mountains in all of the clouds. All right, there's my 6500. I'm not going to go above that just because, yeah, I'm thinking that I'll be able to do this. Thinking the gap is right there in about 15 miles, or 20 miles, I should say. So what I'm looking at up there is, it looks like there's kind of a tunnel coming all the way through with a little bit of light shining on the clouds way through it. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's going right through the gap. What I mean by a gap is it's where the low spots are in the mountains. So if you have a low spot in mountains, typically all the clouds are building kind of at the tops of the mountains, but where there's a gap, a low spot, there's holes underneath of the clouds because they all kind of stay at the top. They don't really necessarily follow the terrain. They get the top level, maybe a few hundred feet up, and then work from there. So that's kind of why I'm specifically going for this area right here. Once we get down through here, I'll drop them back down because the rest of the flight from that portion on to Goroka, the valley is incredible. It's my favorite valley in Papua New Guinea. It's got waterfalls on both sides, so that if that camera's still going back there, you'll enjoy it for sure. I know you will. And yeah, it looks like the valley, or the gap is looking amazing. So let's head on down. It looks like I don't really quite need 6,500. Let's start a slow descent coming down, so we'll cross the gap, and then we'll kind of just fly down the valley on into Goroka. And I'm pretty sure that once we get on the other side of this mountain range, the weather's going to completely change for the better. This whole side down here just fills in because this is a really low area. So if you come out here, you can see, the coast is here, and then there's a bunch of lowland green area. That's right where Wabo is, right on the edge, right before you get into the mountains. And then all that red is all the mountains. That's right where I'm going. So all the weather comes off the ocean and just packs into this big mountain range. This is the first big mountain range, so it just tons of clouds are here. Right on the other side of these mountains, it's going to be a completely different weather system. Papua New Guinea is made up of all these little different microclimates. So it could be horrible where you're going and perfect where you're leaving. I'm going to quickly check my winds right here, right down in this area right here. I've got 3 knots of crosswind. So I'm checking these right before I head over a gap to let me know if I have winds coming at me. I'm going to expect some downdrafts. If I got behind me, I'm going to expect some updrafts and then a bunch of turbulence on the other side. There's next to no wind, now about 2 knots behind me, not enough to care about. Kind of like I was imagining when we left, the weather is really nice over here. So now we can, yeah, I'm 6,100 feet coming through here. But man, take a look at this. I know there's going to be some waterfalls over here, so keep an eye out. There's always waterfalls in Papua New Guinea. Absolutely spectacular terrain here. Definitely makes flying here
500.
Right there. Look at that waterfall. Wow. What I mean? You never get bored here. You never get bored. If you're not looking for waterfalls, you're dealing with terrain, you're dealing with weather, all kinds of stuff.
500.
We're going to go over 2 different runways. There's one over here, Guwasa. Really cool location, but man, is it rough. It is so, so rough. So we really don't go there really much anymore just because we don't want to damage our airplane. This is like a $2 million airplane if we had to replace it. And we got another place, Kora, that we used to go to, and we also don't go to that because it's too short for this type of airplane, where we used to be flying 206s, things like that. We switched to the Kodiak, and now it just doesn't make sense to try to squeeze into a place that's just too short to do it safely. So up in these mountains right here, there's actually a gold mine. I don't know exactly, I guess it's right up there. You can't really see it, but you can kind of see the dirt's kind of terraced up or something. I've actually never flown over it, but there's a gold mine up there. Pretty interesting. Just on the other side of this hill where all of these 10 roofs are and a little bit of smoke and stuff, you can start seeing this runway out here. Then we'll fly down Cora, which is another airstrip. And then you can see this valley kind of wiggling way through.
500.
We'll fly down that valley as well, coming in where there's a ton of waterfalls, which is just absolutely spectacular. All right. Oh, there it is. I was looking over in the wrong area. We'll fly on down this way, keeping our 500 feet away from anybody. Yeah, so
500.
I mean, if they still cut it, there's still some people that fly in here. We just don't do it with our airplane anymore, which is a bummer because I never got to go there. But man, does it look awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and drop on down through this valley a little bit. I know a lot of people have said, man, what would happen if you lost your engine? And it doesn't matter if I'm at 8,000 feet or 5,000 feet, I'm pretty much screwed. I'll be going down to lowering terrain. There's a river down there. And it's like, what's worse, running into some trees or running into the water? I'm not really sure. There are quite a few different runways, so I mean, if you were up to 12, 13,000 or so, you could probably glide down, and if you're really good, potentially land on one of those, but probably 90-95% of the places we go, man, there's just nothing. There's just nothing. You guys want to pick up some sunglasses that look like this? I've got them on my website. I run sales on them every now and then, but man, these are so nice. They're glass lenses. They don't mess up any of your screens down here. They fit nicely with different types of headsets. I've used them for years now, about 3 years, and still love them. You can
500.
see there's gardens down, kind of scattered all through these hills right here, which is just unreal that they have gardens on the sides of nearly, I mean, some of these things are just insanely steep, and they'll have a garden because that's what they live on. Probably out here, almost exclusively, they're living off their gardens. So here in the highlands, they grow a lot of like pumpkin and squash and different types of greens, and they have carrots, peanuts are grown up here quite a bit. There's a lot of coffee. That's how they make a lot of their money here, is by they get a bunch of coffee, and then we fly it all out here to Goroka and either sell it for them, bring the money back, or they have buyers out here that will buy it for them as well. So right here, starting onto Goroka, is the valley I'm telling you about. It's one of my favorite because it's so diverse. It's got a bunch of just nice green hills with some incredible cliffs like this right over here. We've got beautiful rivers, cliffs on the other side as well. And then out of these cliffs, like right over here, we've got waterfalls just spurting out just the sides of the mountains. It's just, I mean, it really is spectacular. There's just no other way to say it. So you can see all this burnt area out here. I was actually I've asked so many people here in Papua New Guinea,
500.
why do they burn off all this stuff? And I actually had my first good answer this past week, and that was, for one, they do hunting. If they do some hunting, things like that. This right here probably isn't, but they can start 3 different fires and then get the stuff, or they'll just start fires and then see if anything starts moving out there in the bush. They also burn off a lot for gardens and things like that, clearing out areas.
500.
Yes, you're going to say that 50 more times, I think. And then also, they burn it off just so that they can walk through their trails. I mean, sometimes this kind of grass gets to be like 12 feet tall. It's just absolutely insane. So there are poisonous snakes out here, death adders, and they're not an aggressive snake, but they live out in this type of grass. So they burn off all this area just so they can see where they're actually walking and don't accidentally step on a snake, because, I mean, when you're this far away from help, from a hospital, things like that, and you get bit by a poisonous snake like a death adder, there's a very high chance that you could die from it. So it might be, you know, 10 hours before you get back up to the hospital or something like that. So we're going to come around this corner right here. There's just this huge waterfall. I don't have my camera on this side of the plane, but it might still catch it when I'm turning around, so keep an eye out for that. Right here with the cliffs coming down and it gets super narrow, this is right here. This is my favorite part of this whole valley. All right, now take a look down here off to the left. That's the waterfall. Man, that is so cool. All the way up, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet, all the way down to the river, just multiple stacks of them. And then as we come up this next valley, the Asaro South Gap, we got waterfalls again, just kind of streaming all the way down from way high up, all the way down to the bottom of the valley. We're going to call up Goroka Tower once we get to the end of this. There's no point in trying to get them right now because we're down behind the mountains. Goroka's that way, only about 13 miles away. Yeah, anytime there's like a crevice coming down, there's pretty much bound to be a waterfall. And sure enough, here's another one that just goes down, 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 down. Let me bank a little bit so you guys can see that one. Absolutely stunning. If you could get out to these places, you could make the coolest PNG waterfall
500
calendar. I would love to have something like that. I think this one here too is one that just, it's not a lot of water coming down, but it just goes forever and ever and ever as it falls down.
$500.
I should count how many times she says 500 in a flight.
500.
Thank you. Yeah, right over there too. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you never get bored. You just never get bored. A little bit more interesting than flying over Arizona. That's for sure. Goroka Tower, November Tango Kilo. What I mean?
November Tango Kilo, Goroka Tower.
Goroka Tower, November Tango Kilo, 900 miles to the south, Asaro South Gap. Your circuit 11.
November Tango Mike, runway 35 right, wind light and variable, QNH 1022, track for finals, report final.
1022, track and report, final 35 right, and this is November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo.
We're just setting up for a nice straight in approach. One thing we can do, which I like doing here, is hitting our OBS button and then lining up 350. It puts a cool line on there. You can do this anywhere, as long as your GPS point is where you're going. And then you have an extended runway out. Now, on days like this, it's really not that helpful. But when this whole valley is just full up of clouds, just like it was at Waba when we left there, then it's really helpful because you can wiggle your way around clouds, still have a good situational awareness of where the actual runway is. Okay, our selectors are on, our brakes are good, our TAWs we can turn off. Our VREF, we'll just come in at 70 knots just because we're empty and it's a long runway and it doesn't really matter on this landing for today. Our lights and our inlet are done. If we have to go around, it's power up, 20 degrees of flaps, pitch for 12 degrees on the attitude indicator, and reset ITT to 740. Top and harness, we'll do our harness now. We're 6 miles out, 6,000, so just about 1,000 foot over the runway, so we're kind of low, but we started low just because we were just coming down that valley. Goroka Tower, November 10 Kilo, 4 mile final, 35 right.
November Tango Kilo, runway 35 right, clear to land.
Clear to land, 35 right, November Tango Kilo. These things are so handy. It covers all of your critical takeoff and landing checklist items that could potentially kill you or damage the plane or something like that. You have to check out the link down below. These things are so handy though, keeping your eyes up and out where they need to be in critical phases of flight like takeoff and landing, not looking down at a piece of paper or you can easily lose your place. This you can go, oh yeah, I did actually get landing. Oh no, I didn't get landing clearance. Things like that. Perfect for single pilot operations. All right, that's 20 degrees. I'm just pushing over pretty hard right this minute until I can get my trim. Release that forward pressure. Go full flaps, and checklist is complete. Once all those items are done, I know that I've at least covered what I need to stay safe on this landing. A 5-knot tailwind, which is now going to make me increase my descent rate just a little bit.
500.
So we'll still keep it below 700 feet per minute. There we go. Now we're back on 550, which is really what we're looking for. A little bit high for where I was shooting. I typically go for the 500-foot marker. For 70 knots, we're still right at 700 feet per minute. I like to come in at 550, like I said, but there we go. Now we're evening it back out, but I'm still a tiny bit high. Right. Our seatbelt lock is up here. Don't even need to go in reverse. I'm just putting it in beta just a little bit so I don't have to use the brakes. Just using the rudders just to keep straight. Go. Guys, if you enjoyed this 360 view video, be sure to leave a comment. Be sure to like it. It lets YouTube know that is an interesting video, and it will just push it towards other people. I sure do appreciate you helping me out get my content to other people. Okay, we are on the ground. We landed with 430 pounds of fuel. 430 pounds. There we go. That's it, guys. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching.